Now, I know you're doing some projects here in Southern Oregon. In fact, in particular, the Cowhorn Winery project. And we've been there. We love it. It's so gorgeous out there. And we're wondering if you would tell us a little bit about that project and what makes it so unique.
Yeah, Cowhorn, they're fantastic. So Bill and Barbara Steele. And Cowhorn Vineyard and Gardens, and it's a biodynamic vineyard, which is fantastic. They're about completed their first decade at that winery, and they're now rated in Wine Spectator and Wine Enthusiast, 90 points or higher as Viogniers, and they're just amazing. Amazing wines and just amazing couple. But biodynamics essentially taking organic to another level, and think what you will, those wines are fantastic, and it's a great project. So they're building a new tasting room and a new residence. So Bill and Barbara, when they first started out, they built their winery and got kind of the basics of the farm set up and the vineyard set up, and they planted, and they're fiscally conservative and smart decision makers, and they made sure they got the business fully functioning and working first, and I would say the results speak for themselves there. And now they're investing into the future of the estate, and so they hired us to design build for them their new residence and tasting room. And they're going for some pretty high standards. They said, well, certified biodynamic, being the only certified biodynamic vineyard, I believe in the state. That could change. I mean, people step up their game as someone takes lead, but they certainly were the first, and they are setting a real new standard there. So they said, well, if we're going to create these buildings, we want those buildings to be in alignment with the standards we have for the vineyard. So they're going for Passive House certification for their house, which is a standard that was originated in Germany, and it's really a design-build tool to designing buildings that have 1/10 the energy or heating load, I should say, of a standard building, and about 2/3, about 60-70% less energy overall in the building. And you super insulate them, super airtight, and it's a very strict and very difficult standard. So with the Passive House standard, free solar from the south is really, really great because it can reduce your heating load. In the winter, when you get a lot of free solar, you don't have to have your furnace on as much, right? So if you're getting warmth from the sun, essentially you're getting that free energy. On this site, like I was saying, the big obstacle is that it all faces north. And when you have all of your glass on the north side, you don't get free energy. What you get is higher loss because windows are never as efficient as your wall systems. So it was really challenging to make it meet Passive House standard. And Dylan Lamar, who works for our company, is nationally renowned as one of the better certified Passive House consultants, and certainly I think he's potentially the best.
Fabulous. I'm sure
and
he
helped us. Yeah, he helped us negotiate that standard and get to the point of fully certified. To do that, they had to go with quad pane windows. So they actually have quadruple pane windows for that building, and we had to make compromises to make those quadruple pane windows work. But these windows aren't just that it's quad pane, they're super insulated frames, which is very different from most of the manufacturers of triple pane windows in the United States, is that super insulated frame. And they're tilt turn. And it's less about the operation of the window as it is the 5 points where when you shut the window, that it all locks and seals.
Sure.
And so it's you have a good control over your interior environment. When you open the windows, you get the fresh air flowing all the way through. You can, for security purposes, tilt them in at night and get the air flowing that way, but not have the whole window open to the outside. So there's some real advantages to those windows in general, but we did have to go to Poland, essentially, to get them.
For now.
Right. And we were lucky enough that the quad pane window was actually being manufactured by Zola, because as we were modeling this building, we recognized that we needed a little extra, and it was either that or, basically making the walls that were already, 16 inches thick, 20 inches thick, and the roof that was 30, 40, and it was getting a little obnoxious. So the windows helped us a lot.
That's exciting.
The tasting room is actually going for Living Building Challenge. And the Living Building Challenge certification is the pinnacle. It's kind of, if there is a pyramid of certification systems, green building standards, I like to say, are just how you get better buildings on the market. And the Living Building Challenge is saying, well, to what point why are we doing this? What is the ultimate goal? And for them, it's creating resilient, regenerative buildings. So that means a building that's going to last a really long time and at the same time produce more renewable energy than it consumes, produce clean, fresh water, more clean, fresh water than it consumes. So things that we're talking rainwater catchment systems in certain circumstances, lots of photovoltaic panels, but also is going to need to consume very little energy. To have photovoltaics cover the amount of energy that you need to run a home, you need to have a very efficient home. So things like quad pane windows may not be even common in the future, but they will become much more common. Right. Certainly triple pane windows is pretty much the only way that we design and build anymore as a company, because you can see the payback is considerable, both on durability and on the long-term energy efficiency of the building. So not just is it important on the energy and the water side, another really big component to the Living Building Challenge is the materials. And most third-party standards have like a regional component, and also have a healthy component. So the elimination of toxins from the materials is important in most of the standards. Most of the standards have a very loose interpretation of what's going to be healthy or not, and it's generally reduced down to formaldehyde, in some cases vinyl. Those are probably the two worst offenders in the building market that we are well aware of. They have a lot of dioxins, phthalates, and that sort of things, and contribute to health issues. Well, at Cowhorn, because of course everything that goes into their vineyard is strictly regulated, they also wanted everything that goes into their tasting room to be strictly regulated. So they chose the high standard globally, and the material standard has a red list. And on the red list, we can't use things like vinyl. And the only way that we can is through rigorous back and forth with multiple manufacturers. And by that, a manufacturer has to come to us with their materials and say exactly everything that is in the components of their materials. And they work with us to figure out if any of those things are red list. And if they are, can they get them out? If they can't, why? And we have to show that we couldn't find it anywhere else, and then we could potentially use that product. But it's a very rigorous standard, and you end up with much healthier products and a much more informed process. When we buy food, we see the ingredients. You get a bag of Doritos, a list is like that.
That's right.
I love the Doritos are probably not the healthiest thing. Most of the things that are healthy have a really short component list, and it's true for building materials too. It's hard sometimes to get rid of those long lists, and getting a complete list is next to impossible. On the nutrition side, we have to have a complete list, and we're all used to that now. On the building side, we do not. So there can be all kinds of unhealthy components to it that we aren't aware of. And a Living Building Challenge process, we can't have that. So we have to at least know the evils that we invite in, and we have to do everything possible to avoid them. So it's very strict, and we are going to have an extremely healthy tasting room. It's the result. And we're waiting till we're done to report on this status of the rest of the petals toward Living Building Challenge standard, but they're going primarily for the materials petal, the beauty and equity petals, which are also part of the standard.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and just maybe one other question after this, is how do we build affordable housing? I hear that all the time. The cities, the states, we all want affordable housing. Mm-hmm. How do you get green construction and make it affordable?
Well, so it's interesting because there's, everything that gauntlet can go from everywhere around low-income housing and how that market is basically financed and created to just, more affordable buildings in general. And I think part of an issue might be cultural for ourselves, and there might just be a challenge that the way that what an affordable home means and looks like. The turn of the last century, in the early 1900s, there was a lot of multifamily buildings. Cities like Chicago and New York and Boston, Baltimore were filled with these mixed-use multifamily buildings. And they kind of disappeared, and it became more about the backyard and the suburbs and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it may be time that we start shifting to a degree back, because, when you combine people into buildings that have, a lot of the amenities already there or within walking distance, you do a few things. You eliminate the cost for them to travel back and forth, and that can be an expensive cost daily. you have a smaller building or smaller units typically. That means less maintenance. When you combine buildings, you have less energy costs. So, Einstein said, you can't solve your problems with the same thinking that you created them, right? And I think trying to solve some of the problems that we have with affordable suburban housing is not going to be solved by looking at how we do affordable suburban housing. I think we may have to consider that the era for that really is started to shift. And
I think you're right.
We may need to do a little bit more urbanization, more condensing. And for those that can be out in the rural areas, that's fantastic. At the same time, I think there is going to be a general shift and trend toward more walkable communities and that sort of thing. I think that's one. Low-income housing, that's really the mentality shifting there too, because a lot of nonprofits run low-income housing budgets. And they, as a part of any federal grants that they're getting and those sort of things, that they actually have to hold on to those properties for 60 years. So when you start considering the utility costs over 60 years or water costs over 60 years, maintenance, when you create a passive house building, like the one that Dylan Lamar, who's our passive house consultant I mentioned earlier, he's the consultant for Walsh Construction and Anchor Moisen on 2 55-unit low-income housing buildings in Hillsboro, Oregon right now, Orchards at Aranco Station.
Right.
And that's low-income housing. And it's, they looked at over 60 years and said, okay, well, this really intense, crazy, super standard actually might make some sense when you consider how much energy we're going to save and how much healthier these buildings are going to be over a long period of time. So I think that's really, really important to consider. It's an important shift. So all over the country right now, there are low-income housing developers who are looking at that project, and they want to say, well, proof's in the pudding. So let's see what, is this actually true? Is there going to be less maintenance costs? So that's one of the big ones, actually. When you create this super envelope, there's a lot of detailing which actually helps the weatherization considerably. When you get triple pane super windows, they're better windows.
Right.
So when you don't have to replace those components, they're spending more money. But right now they're about 10% more than their standard low-income housing project, with 1/10 of the heating load.
Wow, that's not bad, is it?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, we're going to see. Okay. I think times are changing, and we just may have to keep an open mind about what housing looks like and how we finance it in the future.
I agree. I think, with Ashland too, we're just seeing that, a lot of the people that work with us, they really want to be a part of a community. They do want to bike or ride, or Ashland's been written up as the top 10 places in the U.S. for outdoor living.
Yeah.
So that's what we're all about here, Southern Oregon. So we're seeing a lot of people ask for that.
Yeah, well, I think
close in, walking, biking, whatever.
Well, I think both the Rogue Valley and Willamette Valley, one of the unique things is that you have such a robust, in the state of Oregon, but particularly these two valleys, you have such a robust economy because it's based in agriculture. There's an agricultural base, and then there's industrial base. There's other things going on, and the Rogue Valley is really unique. And we've got vineyards, of course, blowing up all over the place. We've got California that really is looking at Oregon right now and saying that, okay, it's actually affordable to move here. And look at the lifestyle. Look at the beautiful Rogue River, and look at the mountains, hiking, the lakes. It's fantastic living. And at the same time, you've got these great urban centers. You have Ashland, but Medford's fantastic too. And there's a real evolution happening, I would say, here in the Rogue Valley that's pretty fantastic. It's attracting a few interesting demographics. There's people who are moving here to retire because they have the lifestyle and just what they can access in a short distance, and then young couples.
Exactly.
And I think the young couples are just seeing a kind of a land of opportunity starting to spring in front of them, and also with jobs these days they're more portable. So there are a lot of people moving here that are working from home, and so really we're seeing business, homes change so they're all age in place, single levels. There's gonna be a bedroom suite on the main floor, office space. So whether they're retired and helping volunteer for nonprofits, or a young family that's working remotely, we see a lot of that happening, and we see that kind of the face of buildings changing throughout the Rogue Valley and Oregon in general.
That's beautiful. That's great. Thank you.